Today I'm going to walk you through tying a Llanolope. This is a fly that is very popular in the Texas Hill Country. It is a hopper imitation, and it is very, very effective for Guadalupe bass and largemouth bass. And while it's popular in Texas in these colors of yellow and natural, you can tie it in any color, any size. In fact, one of the things I like most about it is that you can tie saltwater versions, you can tie big poppers for largemouth bass. I tie red and white for snook. I tie all black to imitate crickets. But the most popular color and the most effective color in the hill country is yellow and tan. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start off by just kind of preparing the foam cylinder. This is one that's already been cut. I use a jig to do these so that I can cut cylinder all at the same time. But if you're just doing these by hand, the cup face is 110 degrees. It's really easy to do. And I start off, the first thing is to punch a hole with a bodkin about 1/3 into the foam cylinder. And I'll just set that aside for now. And I'm going to put the hook in the vise and tie in a thread base right above the point of the hook, like this. So the tail for this fly is tied out of elk hair, and the reason that I don't use antelope hair for the full fly is antelope hair tends to be pretty brittle. If you tie the tail out of elk hair, it's a really durable fly. So I'm tying a size 4. The hook here is a B10S. The thread that I'm using is UTC 140. I like 140 because it's a little bit flat. It's not real sharp, so it doesn't cut through the hair, and it doesn't build up too fast either. So it's a really good compromise for strength. So I've got a nice clump of elk hair here. I'm going to go ahead and take all the underfur out of that. And then I'm going to stack it. I want all the tips to be even. Then once I have the tips even, I'm going to measure the tail of the fly. I want it to be about the length of the shank of the hook from the eye down to the thread base. So I can kind of measure it here, and I'm going to switch hands. And instead of trimming this really close to the end, I'm going to trim it about this far out. And the reason for that is this is going to become the back of the Llanolope. So I'll set this here, I'll hold it, 1 wrap, 2 wraps, tighten down, and you'll notice that I'm not letting it spin. I'm holding it in place, and then I'm putting a couple of locking wraps in here, and there's your tail. Then you can pull this back, put a couple of wraps in front of it, and we're locked in with the tail. At this point, we're going to switch over to antelope hair. I really like tying with antelope. It's super buoyant. It's got a great color too, this kind of this rufous brown, and it's very hollow, and it's especially easy to tie and spin with. So there's usually not a lot of under fur, but I'll comb out what is there. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the tips off now. And then holding it like this, I'm going to slide it back, holding the tail back, and then I'm going to just bring it straight over the top. 1, 2, tighten it down and release, and let that spin around the hook just like that. I'm going to pull this back. I don't pack this really, really tight. I don't think you need to. You can also substitute, if you can't find antelope hair, you can substitute deer hair here. I like tying with antelope. So we're going to repeat that again. Going to get a nice bunch, take the underfur out going to trim the tips. And again, we're just going to hold it between our thumb and forefinger, slide it back along the shank of the hook. 1 wrap, 2 wraps, try not to capture too much of that, and then release it, and it should spin around again nicely. So at this point, we may have enough hair on there, so we can take the bodkin and the head that we've already prepared and just kind of measure it and see if we need any more. And you can see there, it's really a perfect fit already. We don't want to crowd the head at all, but we do want it to kind of sit up flush with the head. So now I'm going to go ahead and lay down a thread base. So I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to bring it back again and back to the front. And then you can go ahead and whip finish this off. And so when you're ready to put the head on, you want to go ahead and force it on first and make sure that it fits. And you can then slide it forward. Don't pull it all the way off. Just let it rest on the eye of the hook. And then I'll take crazy glue and I will apply this to the back of the foam head and to the shank of the hook. And then I'll just push it back quickly, and then I'll place my fingernails in behind the eye, and I'll push from the back. And this will lock that hair in, and it'll keep the head from spinning. It'll make it very, very durable, and it only takes just a few seconds for that to dry. So now we're ready to go ahead and trim. So I'm going to take it out of the vise. And what I like to do is I'll use the foam head as the guide for how I'm going to trim. I'm going to switch scissors here and use a pair of hair scissors. I don't cut with a razor blade. I always use scissors. I find that I have just a little bit more control. And I start slow, just working my way around. And you can see how I'm using the foam as a guide. I want to go straight back. I don't want to angle it at all, just straight back to the tail. Just keep working it around. Just like a haircut, you can always take a little more off, but you can't put any back on. So when I have it trimmed the way that I want it, I'll slide the scissors in here and I'll just kind of clean up that edge. And really it's kind of that front piece of the elk that we're taking off there. Clean it up just a little bit. And that's it. The only thing left to do is to put eyes on. Now you could put just any kind of domed eye. I like to use these pretty inexpensive Google eyes, doll eyes. And what I'll do here is I'll hold the fly in my hand. I'll put just a drop in here. And then I'll quickly place the eye there. I'll let it sit just for a second, and then I'll place my thumb over it and press down and hold it for 10 seconds. And then I'll roll this over, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. And that's it. That is the Llanolope.